Hey everybody, what a crazy adventure we are all going through right now. I hope that you're all doing well and that you're healthy and that you're happy and not too anxious or stressed about the things that are going on right now. Honestly, never thought I'd be teaching you guys through my phone, right? But here we are. So I want you to know, even though we're doing things differently, I am here for you. And if you ever need to reach out to me, or if you have any questions or anything like that, then please do. I would love to answer any questions that you have, or help you in any way that I can. I care about you guys so much, and I'm praying for you, and I'm here for you. With that being said, you're probably wondering where I'm at. As you can see, I'm standing here by this tree. This tree is a pretty cool tree, which is why I wanted to show it to you. And so I thought we'd take a little field trip as a class and come see this tree. It's at my grandparents' house here in Orem. So let me show you a little bit about this tree. So give me 1 second. I'll flip around on my camera and then I'll show you some of these things here. Okay, so here's the tree. As you can see, the bottom here is really rough bark. You can see how it's kind of like flaking off a little bit. This kind of tree down here is what we call a flowering crab tree. The apples that it produces are the little nasty green round ones that really aren't good for eating at all. So my grandparents planted this tree. It has really great roots, a really solid base. So they planted it for that reason, but the apples, they didn't like those at all. So they wanted to get a different kind of apple tree. So we're going to talk about grafting for a second. I'm going to show you this branch right here. Hopefully you can see this. There's a line right here. And as you can see on this side, you have like a reddish, flaky bark. And on this side, the bark's more like purpley and it's a little smoother. That's because these two sides of the tree are completely different types of trees. This one, like I said, is the flowering crab apple tree, and this one is another type of apple tree that produces really good apples that are perfect for pies and for canning and for applesauce and just for eating in general. So what they did is they cut off the crab apple tree right here and removed the branches, and then they grafted in this other type of tree when it was just a tiny little, probably about that wide, a tiny little branch. They put it in there, they wrapped it up really well, and then they let it grow over the years. So as the years have gone, this tree has gone from a tiny little tree to this giant tree that produces tons and tons of apples every year. But it uses the advantages of having the really strong base of this crabapple tree, but also having the really good fruit of this type of tree up here. Anyway, kind of cool. Thought I wanted to show this to you so that you could understand Jacob chapter 5 as we go into it, and you can actually see this grafting that we're going to be talking about in action. So, like I said, we'll be talking about that grafting. We'll talk more about that as we go, but this is just a little intro video to get you thinking about, trees and fruit and all that. So, stay tuned. We're going to be talking more here about Jacob 5. Jacob chapter 5 is what we call an allegory, meaning it's a story that uses symbolism with the purpose of explaining a complex or hidden meaning. There are so many symbols throughout this chapter. I'll provide you with a list that includes some of them with their meanings, but others you'll have to figure out on your own. But to begin, we need to talk about taking care of trees. From the beginning, the Lord of the vineyard introduces something called grafting. Earlier, I showed you my grandparents' apple tree that had the branches grafted in. Well, grafting is done by cutting a wedge into the existing tree. You then take the branch that you want to graft into the tree and you insert the bottom of the branch into the wedge. After that, you wrap the tree and branch tightly so that no water or air or bugs can get in. Slowly but surely, the branch and tree grow together until they become one tree. How cool is that? There are other things you need to do to take care of trees. Sometimes you need to dig around the tree. Sometimes that means moving it and planting it in different ground conditions. Sometimes you need to prune the tree by cutting away excess branches. You also may need to spread dung around your tree for extra nutrients. None of those things sound very pleasant. digging, pruning, or dunging, but they are all necessary to keep a tree healthy. Think about that for a moment when relating this to our own lives. Do we ever experience unpleasant times when the Lord may be digging, pruning, or dunging us? How does He do that for us? How does it help us grow? Questions like that can help you see how Jacob chapter 5 can relate to your own life. There are a lot of lessons that you can learn about Heavenly Father's love for you personally and how patient He is in helping us grow strong. However, it's also important to look at Jacob chapter 5 from a big picture point of view. Throughout this chapter, you will notice that Jacob 5 is a history of the world. It starts in Old Testament times, and it references God's covenant people, the children of Israel. As you go through it, you will see that it transitions to the time of Christ. It talks about the scattering of Israel, including Lehi and his family traveling to the Promised Land. It also talks about the great apostasy, the restoration, gathering Israel, and the second coming of Christ. See if you can figure out where each of those time periods are mentioned in Jacob 5. As you read, keep in mind these questions. What does this teach me about Heavenly Father's love for me? Am I producing good fruit or bad fruit? What is my part in the grand scheme of things, and how can I fulfill my responsibilities? Good luck studying this week.